Can we go? Whose turn is it?
So what's on your mind?
The idea of leverage. And I think that we think about leverage because like I do strategy stuff and it's all very like, okay, how do we get leverage? How do we do more with less? How do we use people and technology and time to create more and more and more, right? And I'm all about that. I love leverage. It's one of our operating principles here. We're like, how do we reach more people? How do we do more stuff? How do we bend time? Right?
Leverage is a good principle. I like it. Good.
But then this week, because of my fake sympathy injury...
You got no leverage in your right arm.
No leverage in my right arm. Oh, maybe my arm, not my shoulder. And then I've been thinking about what if leverage wasn't about doing more? What if it was about doing less?
Huh.
What if it was about...
Or doing the same with less effort?
Yeah. So when I was Googling away, because it's a very sophisticated research process here for my blog writing, when I was Googling away about the idea of leverage, I came across this great word. Let's see if I can say it out loud. Hold on. Ephemeralization.
Wow.
I know.
You got it in one.
Thank
you. And even if you got it wrong, I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't, would you? And it's this 20th century inventor, Buckminster Fuller, who came up with this idea. And he was talking about the idea of technological advancement and how it's going to be amazing. Like even as the population grows and we use all the resources up, life's going to get better anyway, because we're going to use technology to do more and more and more with less and less and less until we can do everything with nothing.
Huh. Is that like the singularity sort of idea, right?
I don't know. I'm not science, but I like it. Talk me through it.
No, I think it's different. But okay. Anyway, I don't really know. I'm just trying to be as clever as you with your words. Yeah.
And so I'm like, how can you do more and more and more with less and less and less until you can do everything with nothing?
Mm-hmm. Deep.
I know. That's
so
what I like.
Why that question? Like, why does that fascinate you?
Because I couldn't do anything for the last week. I couldn't do anything. And everything still had to happen. So I still had 3 children that needed to get to school, and I still had dinner that needed cooking, and I still had workshops that needed running and clients that needed talking to.
So here's why that gets me thinking, doing everything with nothing, where is the joy? Because isn't the joy and the reward in the effort rather than the outcome?
Nah.
No. Definitely not.
Maybe. So yeah, all right. Yeah. So when I was writing my wee post, read it. Wednesday Wisdom, Alicia McCartney, Coda NZ. When I was writing my wee post, I was talking about the idea of using your energy and your time and your essence and I was sort of borrowing my Lisa O'Neill here, thinking about it as your value as a dew, not a stew. So it's the idea that you just distill everything down so that all the good stuff's already there. And your input and value is just the distilled best bit on the top.
So I like that because that's less about everything with nothing and it's more about minimize waste, right? And just get absolute potency from your time or whatever, right?
Absolute potency.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, go.
I'm going to pretend I came up with it.
Yeah, and make it a 5-syllable word rather than a 3.
That's right.
Yeah. So is 3? Yeah. Yeah, okay, whatever. So make it one word, absolute potency. But this idea that I reckon you do want to have effort, but it's effort that gets the most reward as opposed to no effort for everything. Because that's a little bit like we can stop taking stuff, or we can start taking stuff for granted. Yeah. If it's like, I just get it. I just get it. So there's no effort, so I don't value it so much. But if you put in a bit of effort, but it's not wasted effort, isn't that massively rewarding?
So it's the idea that's like, okay, this week I haven't been able to cook dinner, and so Cam and the kids have been cooking dinner. But I'm just thinking about this idea that everybody works really hard in the kitchen for like an hour, and then I just walk in and like sprinkle some seasoning on the top, and I'm like...
That's called leverage.
That's
called having people to do the stuff for you.
So what does that look like at work? That's what I'm trying to figure out at the moment.
Well, I think a lot of it is about working out what's not important.
Yeah.
Right? Both in terms of outcomes, but also in terms of process.
Oh, I just had another idea.
You're on fire.
Yeah. So actually, isn't it about knowing, like actually being really clear on what your value is? Like what is the thing you do that's actually valuable? Not all the shit you do. What is the thing you do that's actually valuable to people?
It's kind of like if you didn't exist, what would people miss?
Yeah, right? What can you do that nobody else can do?
And of course, this is from the perspective of an individual, a team, an organisation, right? So what makes you valuable that no one else can do? And I reckon that's the really key question you've got to ask first.
Well, I work with, at least now, but I work mostly with government, right? And in the past that's been mostly councils, but now it's mostly government. But something I've had a conversation with councils about quite often is like when you're a small council and you don't have a lot of money, there's a lot of pressure from your councillors and from your ratepayers to stick to your knitting, right? They're like, we don't have a lot. So what you've got to do is just focus on roads, rates and rubbish, the 3 R's. You've just got to do, pipes and roads.
Yep.
And I often say to councils, well, no, that is so backwards because if you want a utility company, there are much cheaper and more efficient ways of running a utility company than democracy. Democracy is a horrifically inefficient way of doing anything. So if you are community representatives and you are using democracy, why? What is the thing that you're doing that a utility company can't do?
That's the core question,
That's what you need to focus on.
So if you bring it back to leverage, what's the link?
Yeah. So what is it that they can do that adds the most value and the most impact to their community that isn't about the procedural infrastructure and the ticking the boxes and the regulatory? What is it that they're doing that nobody else can do quite like they can?
That's right. And there's your leverage point.
Yeah.
So how are you thinking about leverage? Firstly, why are you trying to leverage? What's the purpose of it? And then what does leverage look like to you?
Nice hold. That was a really good hold.